but I'm gonna let you in on a really big secret. Luc LeMans does not exist. Alright, hey everybody, welcome to Modern Records Motel, the very glamorous Modern Records Motel, aka my bedroom. If it looks like it's 1,000,000 degrees in here and I'm sweating profusely, that's because it is, and I am. Air conditioning has not yet been installed in Modern Records Motel, but we do have these very fancy swivel chairs. These are apparently called gaming chairs. I don't play video games, but I gotta hand it to the gaming community. Their chairs are very comfortable. Credit where credit's due. So this is a kind of different video than I usually post, but I thought it'd be fun to take you guys behind the scenes of the latest tune I just put out, show you some of the effects I use, some of the different instrumentation styles that I use, and also some of the songs that were used as references to try and get that 80s synth pop R&B sound that is well known and well loved. So let's start it off here. I should say before we go any further, if you want any of those really cool jump cuts and transitions that you see in a lot of vlogger videos on YouTube, I'd curb your expectations. I really don't know how to do any of that. It's just going to be this camera and this camera cutting back and forth. All right, let's go. So this whole intro piece is based off of, well, a few songs that I really like. One of them is called How Will I Know by Whitney Houston, the Jelly Bean remix, if you want to look it up. I Want to Dance with Somebody, also Whitney Houston, and a song called Crush on You by the Jets. And all of them have this intro piece that's basically just percussion. The instrumentation is really stripped down. And what that does, I think, is that kind of gets listeners into the groove a little bit. It's a dance number, right? So you can feel the rhythm of the song before the melody kicks in. So soloed, this is kind of how it sounds. You got the 808 running in there, the little cowbell. And those Phil Collins In the Air Tonight style toms, and then those run throughout the song. By the way, I've never listened to In the Air Tonight in its entirety because it's like 40 hours long, but I know the toms bit, and that's pretty cool. All right, let's move on to the verse.
Talking to you, you said maybe you could get away if you had some destination, if you had the time. I had a joke left to play,
etc. So the main part of this that I thought is cool is the synthesizer bass. Because I can't really play a real bass, it looks like I do in the music video, but if you look really closely, my fingers aren't hitting anywhere close to the right notes. This is based off of the Mini Moog bass, which is used, I think, on Stevie Wonder records, Whitney Houston records, and a plethora of others from the 80s. And this is the sound. Kind of cool, right? Yeah, so in Logic, I just used this retro synth setting. For no better reason than the other ones look too complicated to use. So I played around with the settings on here until it was pretty close to the Mini Moog sound. And on top of that, I put this auto-wah filter, which is really cool. It gives that squishy, squelchy kind of feel. Make it a little bit funkier. That's a bass. Also, we get these nice little synthesizer stabs here. And that was kind of modeled off of those Uptown Funk synthesizers, you know, just little stabs to accentuate the rhythm throughout. One other cool thing in here is the lead vocals. So the lead vocals were credited to Luc LeMans in the liner, but I'm going to let you in on a really big secret. Luc LeMans does not exist. That's just my voice pitched up by like 8%. And I was hoping that kind of made me sound different so I could credit someone else, because I think radio stations are like that. So this is how it sounds. See if you can tell the difference.
Talking to you, you said maybe you could get away.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like someone else, right?
If you had some destination, if you had the time, I had a joke left to play.
Yeah. So there you go, Luc LeMans in all of her pitched up glory there. Cool. Pre-chorus, more of the same really, but we do get these nice piano keyboard lines coming out, which on their own sound really corny, like a really low-budget 80s drama. But the idea there was just to fill out the line a little bit more so it doesn't sound so stripped down. Because I didn't want this to be a total funk song, but then not a total pop song on the other hand. It just kind of lived in that gray area. And I think it's like James Brown or Michael Jackson, one of them, who said the chords kill the groove, right? And so the louder those chords get, the less of a groove you feel in the song. So I kept them buried pretty low in the arrangement. You can kind of barely hear them here.
Dreams are dreams, that's all that's what they say. They say it 'cause they just don't know.
Just slightly there. All right, let's get to the chorus.
Save your love, goodbye to the times I've had enough. Say, oh baby, when this world gets rough, just call me up, let me save your love.
Yeah. Once again, necessity being the mother of invention. I don't play trumpet, so we use these nice synth horns here. And I got the idea for that from a little known track from the 80s called Call Me, not by Blondie, but by an Italian singer called Spagna, something like that. Anyway, great song. And it has these really nice synth horns in there, so I thought I'd crib that and throw them in. That sounds pretty convincing. Another kind of cool element here is the clap. I'm a child. This is sounds like. So we have that really overdriven sound to it, and that's used in a lot of Prince records as well. He really liked that. Like, yeah, You Got the Look, Girls and Boys, Jungle Love, a whole bunch of other ones. Also in like Denise Williams and that song Let's Hear It for the Boy from Footloose. She uses the same thing. And that really helps to differentiate the chorus from the verse. Otherwise, it all kind of blends. So just to have that extra element sticking out.
Oh, baby, got to save your love. Goodbye to the times I've had enough.
It's kind of cool. And the last element, which is kind of cool here to mention, is the snare drum. And I use something called gated reverb, which was really big in the 80s. And the idea behind gated reverb is it gives you this really big full sound on the snare and then cuts it right off so that you can hear the other parts to it and just become a mushy mess. And how that's achieved is you pull up this reverb setting, right? So this is how the snare sounds with the reverb. It's cool, but it's really echoey, right? So we put on this thing called a noise gate. And what that does is once the reverb falls below a certain decibel level, the noise gate is going to take the sound down completely. So it sounds like this. See, it kind of cuts off like that. That was a really big effect in the 80s. I think Genesis might have come up with it. So you hear it on like Phil Collins stuff a lot, and Prince, and basically everyone. You hear it on everyone's tracks. So that had to be in there, definitely.
Say, oh, baby, when this world gets rough, just call me up, let me save you.
Yada, yada, yada. All right, verse 2.
It's just a dark and blue, yeah. And though I've never seen it, and I get the feeling it's been waiting all this time for me and you.
All right. So my favorite part about this here is the guitar line, which is actually two guitars running at once. And it sounds like this when it's solo. So this is a trick that Nile Rodgers uses a lot, apparently. He has two guitar tracks going, so one of them is going to hold down the chords, just like this. While the other one is going to kind of punch out those extra spaces with bass notes or stabs or whatever like this. And that kind of marries together, in Nile's words, in a really cool way.
And though I've never seen it,
gives you a fuller sound. The only other thing to mention on that is the chorusing effect. So if you really want to sound 80s, you got to put a lot of chorus on your guitars. That's used in a lot of the effects. Kicking Wishful Thinking, which I think is 91, but who cares? Call Me, Sussudio, Crush on You, Waiting for a Star to Fall. All of them use this really tight, kind of funky chorused guitar style of just these stabs. And it's really characteristic of the genre. If you throw that in, it's going to sound 80s no matter what. So that's pretty cool. Another thing you might hear in there, kind of buried in the background, is this note right here. Just to have that running along the top. And I found that filled out the higher register quite nicely. You hear that on like Lionel Richie Dancing in the Ceiling in the chorus of that. He has this nice kind of trilling synthesizer at the top. And Prince does a similar thing on a lot of his tracks. He'll have a note at the top just going like, ain't got no money. I think that's all I can sing before I get copyrighted. So just having something like that as a synthesizer or guitar on the top is pretty cool for that 80s sound. Pre-chorus is more of the same, chorus is more of the same. Bridge, because every 80s song needs a bridge, whether it needs it or not. So a trick I used in here for the backup vocals is something that Queen used for I think all of their tracks, or most of them anyway. There were only 4 of them, right? But they wanted to sound like a choir or a lot more people. So they'd sing every single harmony line together and then sing the next one together and the next one and the next one. And by the end of it, they'd have like 16 voices stacked. Unfortunately, there's not 4 of me, so I had to do it a lot more times. But this is how it sounds, like this.
Shake that crowd, paint the town. Call on me.
Yeah. So you get that really nice full chorus effect. So that's 16 voices in total. All me. Yeah. And Luc LeMans. And what else can be mentioned here? Yeah, okay, the solo. This is going to irritate me till the day I die. Let's give it a listen. The reason this is so irritating to me is because this opening guitar line, I'm going to try and play it now. I probably can't. All right. That was like impossible for me to play. I took like over 100 takes of it. And when I got down to mixing it, there was no way to get it to pop out. I had to bury it in the mix. So when you hear it, it's like noise, and after 100 takes of that was just gut-wrenching. Anyway, I based this on a few kind of rock solos, actually. Something that Thin Lizzy did that I really liked in Boys Are Back in Town. Steely Dan did this too, is to have these double guitar lines where they're playing in harmony. And I think that's such a nice sound. You hear that in Queen a lot as well. Suzi Quatro, If You Can't Give Me Love, they do that as well. So I thought that'd kind of shake it up a little bit here and put in an element that's not usually used in this type of song. So here's how they sound together. Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad, by Prince, they do this as well. He does this as well. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Last part here is yet another Prince homage. So this breakdown here, the first time I heard something like this was on a Prince track called Dirty Mind. And it's like, I think it's like 5 minutes long, but right in the middle, he breaks it down to just the kick and the synthesizer. And it sounds a little bit like that. I thought that was such a cool effect to add in. So I put it in here as well, and it sounds quite nice. I think anyway. Yeah, and that gives you a little bit of a break before the final chorus, which kicks in, doesn't sound much different from the other choruses. Oh, one thing that's interesting here. Well, interesting to me, I don't know. Yeah, this bit here. So the little throwaway lines here at the end, the little rap here. Put through telephone filters. Those were going to be the chorus of this originally. Which I was never very happy with. So I came up with a different chorus, which I think sounded a lot better. But rather than being able to cut this part out because it didn't serve any purpose, I just threw it in the extended dance mix. So you have this, you have that kicking around there too, because I couldn't bear to let it go. So that was shoehorned in. Yeah. Fade out, cheers, applause, general mayhem and havoc. That's the end of it, basically. That's the whole track. That's how you make an 80s sounding track. Hopefully it is anyway. Yeah, so I hope that was mildly interesting for maybe 20-30% of the viewership. I don't know. And if that's something that you guys like, I'll do more of that. And I'll also link to all of the songs I mentioned down in the description box. All right. Listen to the new song, and thanks for watching. Bye. Two, three, four. Something first.